In this video, we're going to use Minitab to conduct a hypothesis test for a mean. We're doing this homework problem as an example. It says, suppose the mean height of women aged 20 years or older in a certain country is 62.7 inches. 100 randomly selected women in a certain city had a mean height of 63.1 inches. At the 5% significance level, do the data provide sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean height of women in the city differs from the national mean? Assume that the population standard deviation of the heights of women in the city is 3.7 inches. So we're going to start by writing our hypotheses here. I know that I'm going to use z here, and it's telling me that in the problem, but I can also figure that out on my own because I have the population standard deviation. So I'm going to start with my alternative hypothesis. I want to know if the data provide evidence to conclude that the mean height of women in the city differs from the national mean. And the national mean is 62.7 inches. So my alternative hypothesis is that the mean is not equal to 62.7 inches. My null hypothesis then is the opposite of that. So if my alternative hypothesis is that the mean is not equal to 62.7, my null hypothesis is that the mean is equal to 62.7. So those are my hypotheses. Now to calculate the test statistic and p-value, I'm going to use Minitab. So I'm going to go to Stat, Basic Statistics, and I'm using my one sample z and one sample t menus that I've already used. In this case, since we've already discussed, it's one sample z because I have population standard deviation. I'm going to switch to summarize data like we did before because I have the sample size, sample mean, and known standard deviation to enter. So my sample size is 100 because 100 women were selected for the sample. My sample mean is 63.1 inches, and my standard deviation is 3.7. Now I'm going to check the box that says Perform Hypothesis Test. Now I need to enter my hypothesized mean. Hypothesized mean is the mean from my null and alternative hypothesis, whatever that number is. So 62.7 is going to be my number for this problem. Then I click on Options. Now this time, I'm not calculating a confidence interval, so I don't need to worry about what's in the confidence level box. But I do need to worry about what's in the next box, the alternative hypothesis box. So the alternative hypothesis box needs to match whatever my alternative hypothesis is. In my alternative hypothesis in this problem, I have a not equal to symbol. The mean is not equal to 62.7, which is my hypothesized mean. So I'm going to set that to the not equal to symbol, click OK, and click OK again. Now I don't need to worry about the confidence interval here. Since I'm not asked for that, I scroll down to find the results of the hypothesis test. And I see in this box the null and alternative hypotheses are written out, so I can make sure that that matches what I entered in my problem. The Minitab output uses an H1 instead of HA for the alternative hypothesis. Those are the same thing. Then I have my z-value and my p-value. So I'm going to enter those. 1.08 is the z-value or test statistic. And my p-value is 0.280. Finally, we need to decide whether to reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So we are comparing our p-value to the level of significance given to us in the problem. This problem is asking for 5% significance level, so we want to see if our p-value is less than that significance level. In this case, no, our p-value is not less than that significance level, so we do not reject the null hypothesis. And if we do not reject the null hypothesis, this means we do not have evidence to support the claim. So we do not have evidence to support our alternative hypothesis that the average height of women in the city is different from the average height of women in the country. And that's how we use Minitab to do a hypothesis test for a mean.